Good evening, everybody, and how are we all doing today? This is the Sunday night live stream, a show we do every Sunday, 6 p.m. It's the 21st of May, 2023. And today I want to get you guys to share your rhubarb and your spinach recipes. We'll get into that in just a moment. I just want to warn everyone, if anything goes wrong tonight, it will be this weekend. I've had one hell of a weekend. Um, if you can imagine things going wrong, it has happened this weekend. I'll explain all. I'll start the story. So yesterday it's Amanda's birthday, my wife. So I was doing no gardening. That was fair enough. We went out to a dog show, and great time, got to be said. On the way back, all of a sudden I get a flat tire on my camper van. Now, pulled over, not a worry. I thought I'll change it over with the spare tire, not a problem. Got the spare tire off, jacked up the van, undid the lug nuts. The wheel would not come off. We had to call the RAC out to get the wheel off. Eventually, I mean, the RAC never turned up. So a plumber stopped off and we managed to get the wheel off. So that was the first thing that went wrong, which really annoyed me because I can change wheels, doesn't bother me. Second thing that went wrong, I got up this morning, I do a few bits in the garden, and I noticed that my hot tub is sounding a little bit quiet. And I think that's a bit odd. So go and check it. Sure enough, there's no power to the hot tub, no power to this shed, no power to the entire garden at all. So go back to the fuse, and I'm good with electrics. I've done some electrics in the garden, but I'd never realized quite how the guy who lived in this house before me had wired the electrics up. Let's just say I had 3 different fuses on this one circuit to power the garden. So I had to go through, figure out what was going on. Got that sorted. Took me about an hour and a half, which was egged into my gardening time a little. And then to top it all off, I was about to go live on this show, and I suddenly realized this main camera that you're talking to me on right now wasn't working. And I couldn't figure out why. I managed to get it going just in time, but the angle is a slight bit wrong. But we're here and we are going. So first of all, have we got anybody out there tonight? Anyway, Adrian is out there. I saw him right at the beginning. Yep, Adrian is joining us. Hello to you. Ballycine is joining us. He's saying evening all. Good evening to you. Turbo Stream is joining us, saying good evening, Veg Podcasters. Good evening to you. And he goes on to say, spring seems to have sprung at last. Indeed, it has. Lovely, lovely day we've been having. Lovely weekend, actually. Philly SPB, hello, everyone. Good evening to you. Oracle is out there. What about everyone and my friend Stuart Jackson over on the other outlet? Hope you've had a good week, mate, and hope you've had a good time on the sale. Gary is joining us, saying hello, everyone. Good evening to you. Kate is out there saying, good evening, Veg Army. Good evening to you. Anna Jones is there saying good evening, Garners. Good evening to you. Hargrave Gas. Evening all. Hope you've had a great week. As usual, I forgot to send in my recipe. Hope you've got it written down so you can share it with us tonight. Who else have we got? Anna Jones is saying, just been watching Digwell's compost trial. Just what we need. You're obviously looking at buying compost soon. What else have we got? Nicola, evening all, just got the chickens in bed and the washing on the line. Yeah, we all know how it goes here. Graham Arnold is joining us. Evening all, good evening to you. Ian Beddoes, evening from a very wet Costa del Sol. Could do with a little bit of rain tonight, Ian. If you can send it our way, that would be great. Digwell is there. Hi, team. I hope you're all okay and not too sunburnt. I'm not sunburnt at all. Jenny, hello, everyone. I hope you're all well and had a great week. Amazing weather, busy planting out, and it's such a great feeling, isn't it? Yes, I'll get into that in just a moment. Scott is there. Jay saying good evening, everyone. Good evening to you. Idaho Garden Girl has joined. Good evening to you. Somebody in the Facebook group has joined. Evening, Richard and the Veg Army. I hope everyone is enjoying the weather. I don't always know who is in the Facebook group, so if you can just let me know who you are at the end of your message, just so I can answer you personally, that would be great. What else have we got? Graham is saying my arms look like Squash'em Sweets. Squash'em Sweets, what are they? Who else have we got? Chitty Kate is joined. Hi, everyone. Just on the way home from the allotment. Hope everyone is well, indeed. Good evening, all, says Amanda. Good evening to you. Tigwell is saying, put a few cans of time flighter in the camper and car. Never failed to get me home. You know what? I actually have that in the van, the work van, um, and not in the camper van, but it is in the camper van now. I could not. It would have been fine if I could just get the wheel off. Just really annoying, not able to get a wheel off, but we got there in the end. Rebecca Hawkins has joined. Good evening. Good evening to you. And that is caught up with the comments. So, how are we all doing? Now, as I said tonight, I want to discuss our rhubarb and our spinach recipes. Now, the reason for this is that at the moment, I'm harvesting a good lot of rhubarb and spinach each week that we're trying to find different ways of using it up. I'm harvesting spinach about twice a week, and we're getting a good lot. We're able to make a good couple of meals out of these harvests, as well as some for the freezer for the winter months. And the same with rhubarb. We're getting so much rhubarb that we're just going to get a whole freezer full of rhubarb the way it seems to be going, which is great. Don't get me wrong. I love rhubarb. We love eating it. And I just want some recipe ideas. Of course, the usual ones are just as good. And what have you. So, Stuart Jackson is joined and he's saying evening all from the sunny Wiltshire. And Aaron is joined saying mice have eaten a lot of my directly sown broad beans seedlings. It never happened before. I feel your pain there, Aaron. I'm having a lot of trouble with peas, and it could be rodents, could be seeds. I don't know. The old-fashioned idea used to be to put your beans or pea seeds, soak them in paraffin, but I do not recommend that. I think that's an awful idea. It's just a case of trying to stop them and doing the best that you can. There is still time to sow broad bean seedlings, I think, or you can go to a garden centre and get some more. Right. Oracle says spinach. Stuart Jackson would need some so he could go like Popeye and get this pear tree cut down. Indeed. Ian says, for me, spinach only goes into cannelloni. Good one, that. Spinach and ricotta cannelloni. Love it. Kate says, not as much as I would have liked. Found out I have 2 collapsed discs in my back. Glad I got loads planted early. I did read that, Kate. Very, very sorry to hear that. I hope you were looking after yourself first and foremost, and you only do things when you can. I think this is a conversation we might have to have in the future. Perhaps we can tackle this list next week or something. Turbo Stream. Alloy wheels often stick to solid to the hubs. I had a puncture one and needed a new hub after the garage stripped the wheel threads. £250 that time. That's kind of what happened, but we managed to get it off. Indeed. Now, talking of the recipe ideas, our certain person, you probably can guess who he is, did send over a couple of video with recipes, and I think we'll start off with this spinach recipe because seems like a good one. Let's find out what Digwell has for us.
Okay, guys, not so much a spinach recipe, but what I do with my spinach. Now, I like to pick the leaves, the bigger leaves, and steam them. So when I get home, I take the stalks off. I don't like the stalks. Even when they've been cooked, I don't like the stalks. I'm going to steam this lot. I find steaming it's so much gentler than boiling. Rip the big leaves up if you have to. Put the colander over the boiling water and they wilt down in no time. And this is real-time footage and you can see them just fading away. Give them a few seconds, maybe 30 seconds. And that's it. Yeah, it's that quick. Take out the bit of ash leaf that fell off the tree above. And then straight into a pot or a bowl of ice cold water. Now this does 2 things. It stops the cooking and it also preserves the greenness of the spinach. Nice bright green when you come to use it again. Let it cool down a bit and then wring it out. and I like to put mine into ramekins or muffin trays and individually freeze them because I know that is one portion for me. At this point you could put a teaspoon of lazy garlic in or a few chili flakes, but if you're going to do that, make sure you label them. Okay, into the freezer, and when they're frozen, out of the freezer and vacuum sealed. There we are, all done. Trim them up a bit and back in the freezer. 3 portions of spinach for Digwell to enjoy later.
Fantastic. What a great thing to do. Funny enough, that's what I've been doing with a lot of my spinach. Always amazes me just how much spinach reduces down when you cook it like that. I remember watching a cooking show once, Jamie Oliver, I think it was, and he brought a bag of that frozen spinach, and he sort of said that if that spinach was fresh, that bag of frozen spinach would fill an entire bathtub, which just goes to show how much it reduces down. And it's great to get some spinach in the freezer, which is what we are doing with some of our other spinach as well. But I really want to see some good recipes tonight as well. Graham says, use your spinach up by making sagaloo with new potatoes, freeze and use in the winter with a curry. Good idea. How do you make your sagaloo, Graham? Can you remember? And share the recipe. He also wishes Kate to get well soon, as does Idaho too. I think we're all wishing that with Kate and everybody else as well. I have lost my allotment mojo at the moment, says Turbo Stream. Everything seems to have stopped growing. Hopefully this sunshine will start things off. Sowed a big lot of seeds this weekend. You'll get there, Turbo Stream. Just remember, just think of all that food. It has been a late spring. This weekend does feel like we are really into it. And now it's like, get everything planted, get it all growing. I'm certainly seeing there's lots of things growing in my garden. So hopefully, same for you. Idaho says she loves her vacuum sealer. I've got a vacuum sealer as well. It's a great piece of kit. As Ian Beddoes, I'll have to look for a vacuum sealer, then you can freeze it. They're good pieces of kit because they do reduce down. I got mine from Lakeland, if I remember correctly. Kate, thanks, guys. Only found out because I was being investigated for and diagnosed with fibromyalgia, and they found that too. It's okay. I won't let it beat me. I'm just going to have to adapt. You make sure you take it easy. Kate, I remember you saying you're going to Gardener's World next month. Is that still going ahead? And are you going on the Thursday or the Friday, if I can't remember? Same for anybody else who might be going. I want to try and arrange a meetup there. Digwell says, would be without my most used kitchen gadget. Yeah, I'm with you on that. Completely with you on that. Kate says, my recipe for spinach and some other veg, a green smoothie, good for on the go, and this gives me lots of energy too. Better than it sounds, honest. 2 cups of very cold filtered water or ice. 7 cups of spinach or kale chopped, 6 cups of romaine lettuce, 1.5 cups of chopped celery, about 2 stalks, 1 apple cordon chopped, 1 pear cordon chopped, 1 banana, 2 tablespoons of lemon juice, blitz and go. I used to have, those smoothie makers when they were all the rage. I used to have some of those, and I used to feel like I was the healthiest person going as soon as I drank one of those. I probably should think about making some more again, thinking about it, before I go to work in the morning. That'd be a nice way just to start the day off. Got my coffee, got my spinach, my smoothie. Yeah, smooth spinach smoothies. Take good art one. Jenny says, my Malabar spinach has finally germinated. It has taken forever. That's the same as I've been growing myself, I think. Mine's doing really, really well, but I did start mine off in the greenhouse, but doing really, really well. I always start my spinach off about February because I think that's a good idea, a good time to get it going. Stuart Jackson, I had a fresh spinach as salad leaves today with my chicken salad. Spinach and chicken salad. That's good. That's good. Sagaloo, not made that for a while on the list. Yeah, I'm looking forward to get some sagaloo with those new potatoes and spinach. That's something I'm really, really looking forward to. Sir Lord of Skinny Jeans has joined us, Mr. Lee Connolly, Skinny Jean Gardener. Good evening, Mr. Suggett. Good evening, Lee. Now, slightly off topic this, but I don't know if anybody has seen. I put a post up the other day. Lee went to the House of Lords to talk about getting gardening and kids into gardening, etc., etc. Please go and check it out because we want to try and get more people, or certainly the curriculum involved in getting kids gardening, getting them interested in gardening. Really good chat, I've got to say. Kate says, yes, still going to Thursday for Gardening World. Excellent. Nicholas says, I have 2 prolapse lists. Just have to listen to your body. There we go. There we go. Alison O'Brien has joined. Evening all. Good evening to you. Skinny Jean Gardener comes back with bagel, egg, cheese, and spinach. Oh, yes. Oh, lovely. Oh, lovely. I've got to get Amanda to start using the spinach in my sandwiches, thinking about it. She doesn't always use the spinach. I don't know. I don't expect my wife to make sandwiches for me. It's just she does it because she's very good at it, and I tend to eat it more than if I make it myself. But she's not very good at coming out to the garden and getting things. She likes to leave that for me to do, but I'm going to have to teach her that, aren't I? €1 shops for a bargain. Off to do a big one tomorrow. At least we will be dry. What are you buying? What are you buying? Have I missed something? Not sure. Not sure. Nicolette says, if you have a fast blender, you don't need to core or peel apples. Never knew that. Never knew that. Turbo Streamer says, to get his allotment mojo back, I've decided to do a small 4-foot bed on the plot and grow loads of the seeds I sowed in it to see how it goes. You'll get that. You'll get that. Right, Graham Arnold is saying gently sauteed potatoes takes about 5 minutes, and mustard seeds, cumin, coriander, garlic, and curry powder, teaspoon of each. Add the spinach and cook for 5 minutes, and there you go. That is your sagaloo. Absolutely delicious. I've had my dinner before I started, so I'm hoping I'm not going to get too hungry tonight, but I've got a feeling I will. Jenny says spinach pancakes are amazing. We use them cold as an alternative to wraps. How do you make your spinach pancakes? Is that the typical words out? Typical pancake batter with added spinach? Let me know. Let's have a look. Let's have a, what else have we got? Ian Beddoes, Lee could have had a shave and looked apart. I'm sure he did great. He did absolutely great. Egg and cress with Heinz salad cream. Nom 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 nom. That's not spinach or rhubarb, is it? Right. Scott, vacuum sealers are great. I use them at work to do things like compressed cucumber, watermelons, etc. A bit chefy, but does change the texture. And you can pop flavored oils in or other liquids in them to push the flavor in. Compressed watermelon and vodka, well worth a try. Yeah, good. I mean, I love my vacuum sealer as well, so I'm completely with you. Yeah, good. Right. Turbo Stream says, I just added a few spinach leaves into a salad mix this lunchtime. So that's another one for using the spinach in the salad mix. It's great. Idaho, this is what I love about this. She's never heard of sagaloo, but with your recipe, Graham Arnold, I will try it. It sounds delicious. Sagaloo is a very popular Indian dish. It's well worth it. I absolutely love it. It's one of those things that is absolutely delicious. I love a curry anyway, so just love it. Stuart says, I can see I'm going to have to hit this back so I can have time to write all these recipes down. Please keep them coming. Indeed, please do. Oh, sorry, I got an itchy nose again. Please do keep your recipes coming, your spinach recipes and your rhubarb recipes. Now, Turbo Streamers came in with a rhubarb crumble all day long for me. Had some this lunchtime. I do get a little bit bored of rhubarb crumble, I'll be honest with you. That's why I'm always looking for something different. So, always looking for something different. We have got a couple of other videos for rhubarb coming up in a moment as well. Alison O'Brien says spinach in an omelette is nice. It is as well. Or in quiche. We had spinach and leek, I think it was, quiche a couple of weeks ago, trying to use up the spinach more than anything. Really, really nice. Goes well with eggs, I think spinach does anyway. So a good one there. Kate says another great recipe for spinach is spanakopita. I think I pronounced that right, or Spanish copita. Phyllo wrapped around feta, spinach, ricotta, dill, leek, onion, parsley, and garlic. Mix well, pot on the phyllo, bake until crisp. Are they like little parcels that you eat with like a stuffing inside, or is it like a pizza? I'm quite intrigued with it though. I like the idea. Rhubarb full is always my go-to put. How do you make it though? Let us know how you make it. Spinach pancakes, typical batter mix with a good handful or so of spinach. Great warm with savoury toppings. Cook them a little longer and allow to cool, and they make great wraps. Very, very green. I will look into that. I'm going to give it a try. In fact, do like some spinach. I do like pancakes, do like spinach, so will they work too? Anne says I popped a rhubarb mousse recipe on the Facebook page. Yes, she did. That was looks absolutely delicious. There was also, I can't remember if it was you or somebody shared a video of people using the outer of the rhubarb to make little baskets, weave baskets, dried out the threads. That was fascinating as well. Digwell says rhubarb crumble is all about the topping. Porridge oats in the mix and sprinkle with a demerara sugar. I agree. I like added a few nuts as well, just like Nicola is saying here as well. Hazelnuts in with the crumble mix. That spanakopita, or however it's pronounced, yeah, little parcels, Greek recipe. It's a bit like no, I can't think what they're like. Or the word I'm looking for, canapes. But like a canapé, isn't it? That's lovely. Turbo Stream says, I'm not a king cook, so my meals need to be as simple as possible. I get bored very quickly. I think the art, cooking, I always think cooking is simple. It's the complicated, or people overcomplicate dishes a lot of time. I mean, at weekends, I can spend a bit more time, but during the week, I want to get my meals cooked in like 15 minutes. Yeah. Digwell says pakora recipe, please. Recipe, please. Right. Talking of recipes, he did send another recipe, of course, and this time it's for rhubarb cake.
Okay then guys, those of you of a certain age will recognise that music at the start. Rhubarb and custard. So we're doing a rhubarb and custard cake. We're going to roast the rhubarb first of all. So get your oven on 180 Celsius. Chop your 400 grams of rhubarb into thumb-sized chunks, and if you've got thumbs that size, good luck to you. 50 grams of caster sugar into an oven dish. In with the rhubarb and just toss it around, get it all coated. In the oven for 15 to 20 minutes. We're just trying to soften the rhubarb up and get some of the juices out. A quick whiz through the rest of the ingredients. 4 large eggs, 250 grams of self-raising flour, teaspoon of baking powder, 250 grams of caster sugar. I'm using 2 types there because the top bag was nearly empty. 250 grams of butter, a teaspoon of vanilla extract, and the star of the show, tinned custard, 200 ml of that. 150 in the mix and 50 ml blobbed on top afterwards. Grease and line a 9-inch springform cake tin. Funny how we use imperial for the size of tins, but metric for the ingredients. This is how I line the base. Get your piece of greaseproof paper, baking parchment, fold it and fold it and fold it again to the point in the corner there. Keep folding it as many times as you want, and when you're happy with it, yeah, I think I'm happy there, yeah. Gauge the centre, make a little depression on the outside, and just trim it in a sort of an arc, make a little arky circle thingy there, look. And when you unfold it, it will pop into the tin. Perfect. And just line the rest of the tin on the outside, a couple of layers of paper, just to stop the cake mix sticking. Well, that's been 20 minutes and the rhubarb's nice and soft. Drain the liquid off, beat the eggs, in with a teaspoon of vanilla extract, in with 150 ml of the custard. We're saving a bit to go on top. Give it a bit of a mix up. Add the wet to the dry. And yes, the softened butter did go in, but I forgot to film it. In with the baking powder and the caster sugar. Give it a good blend in. Put about a third of the cake mix into the lined tin and just push it into the corners. You don't want any air pockets in the bottom. Get this bit right and the rest of the cake will be easy. So once you've got a third in, we're going to put some rhubarb on top. Just scatter it over. Random is good. No point being too exact. And then on with another third of the cake mix. Get the rhubarb coated, then smooth this layer off. On with some more rhubarb, scattered on. About a third again. We're going to leave a little bit for the topping. And the rest of the cake mix goes on, but this time we're just going to dollop it on, blobs. Don't bother smoothing it out. Scatter on the rest of the rhubarb. And a dollop on another 50 ml or so of custard. Like, my recipes are never exact anyway. Into the oven at 180 Celsius for about 45 minutes, and it came out looking like this. The rhubarb on top did sink a little bit. Skewer in the side. If the skewer comes out dry, it's ready. So I've carved it, trying to show you with the camera here, a really awkward cutting like this. And obviously the taste test. And I'll tell you what, it was lovely. It was just like rhubarb and custard in a cake. The custard dollops on top were a little bit runny when I tasted it because the cake was still warm, but the following day they had set and it was even better. Gurt lush.
Looks absolutely delicious, doesn't it? I've got a craving for rhubarb custard, so I think Amanda's going to have to make that next weekend, I'm afraid to say. But lovely, absolutely lovely. But I do wonder, do you have to use tinned or can we use our own homemade custard? The reason I ask is that Ian Bennett has said lots of tin custard, but doesn't taste like homemade. And I feel the same. Not that there's anything bad about tinned custard. It just homemade, just although it's can be tricky to make your own custard. Although Idaho says I've never seen tinned custard. Not surprising, is it? Let's have a quick look. Jenny says gluten-free crumble was not as good. Digwell, there's a challenge for you. Hint, hint, hint. Yeah, I have no idea when it comes to gluten-free, I'll be honest. Aaron says, used to make rhubarb cordial, lovely diluted with chilled sparkling water. Yes, I used to make rhubarb cordial. Share your recipe. I can't remember how I made it off the top of my head. I seem to remember liquid, getting it down to a liquid and then adding loads of sugar. But if you can share your recipe, that would be good. What else have we got? Scott has got rhubarb full, 450 grams of rhubarb, 4 tablespoons of caster sugar, 1 orange, 1 star anise, 300 ml of double cream, handful of ginger nuts, 100 ml of yogurt. I'm a pan cook. Rhubarb orange juice in a pan. Cook rhubarb orange juice and half the zest of the orange, star anise, and where did the orange juice come into that? Oh, from there, yeah. Sugar and chill, then chill. Wrap cream fold into yogurt, crush ginger nuts, and layer up rhubarb mix, then ginger nuts, then cream. Repeat. I put some on some other recipes on the Facebook page. You did; they were good recipes as well. I think we have got one coming up in the photos, which is a good one. Oh, lots of tinned custard doesn't taste like homemade, is what Ian was saying. Kate liked the video. Quite a few people were liking the video as well. Scott says, need it in my belly now. Looks delicious. Any custard will do, just lazy, LOL. Yeah. People say that making your own custard is so easy. It is easy if you can get it right. It can be a bit tricky, I think. Ian says, Roxy, go get some rhubarb on the go. Yeah, Roxy, go get some rhubarb wherever you are. She's knackered today. We were at a dog show yesterday, as I said, and she's absolutely knackered. I was going to send in my rhubarb crumble with homemade custard video, but it was a bit long. That's all right. That's all right. You've done well again anyway with the videos, Digwell, so absolutely. That sounds amazing, Scott, and nice one, Scott, about that rhubarb fool. Yeah, rhubarb fool. We were eating a lot of rhubarb fool recently, and basically I made a load of stewed rhubarb up ahead of time, and we kept it in the fridge, and when we were having our dinner we would have a spoonful or bit of rhubarb full with a bit of custard or bit of cream, mix it all in, bit of biscuit. Absolutely delicious. Love it. Lovely. Idaho is saying, I took a screenshot of Scott's recipe. Yum. Yeah, rhubarb full. I mean, for me, what we were doing is that we just stewed some rhubarb to keep in the fridge for a week, and we just added whatever we wanted to it. And rhubarb full, same sort of thing, but there's a lot more we can do with rhubarb. One of the other things that we did, this is something that Scott also put in the on the Facebook group. We basically roasted some rhubarb to have with some pork chops. Rhubarb and pork goes really well together. It's really surprising. And I was thinking, I haven't tried this, but you know how you make like an apple sauce or an apple jelly to go with your pork. I was wondering if there's any way of making a rhubarb type jelly as a preserve, one that can last for months in the fridge or something without needing to be frozen. Anybody know any ideas on how to do something like that? Turbo Stream says, I used to add rhubarb to Greek yogurt, but found the yogurt affected my digestion, so avoid it now. Yeah, I mean, I've never had any problems with digestion or anything like that. So I always find it interesting when people have all these little quirks that make it hard. So Greek yogurt is considered to be pretty natural, I thought, and most people aren't affected by it. So that's interesting, Turbo Stream. What yogurt do you use instead, or do you not? Scott says gluten-free crumble. I add gluten-free oats and it works well. Scott, can you write that recipe up for us? I know that's a lot to ask while we are doing a live stream, but it gives the people watching a good ideas, and they'll take screenshots and use it in the future as well, as we've just said. Again, gluten-free is something I've not had any problem with gluten, or I have to go gluten-free. So I can pretty much eat anything except for mushrooms, which is probably unusual on its own. So anybody else has any ideas, then please do get in and share it. Keep those recipe ideas coming. And we were talking about making our homemade custard. Digwell says the trick with making custard is not to mix the egg yolks with the milk until the milk has cooled a fair bit. Scrambled eggs otherwise. Yes, that is the trick. Get it to the right cooled enough that it doesn't scramble. That's always a problem. That's what many people have a problem. Again, how do you judge? How do you know when is the right time to add your eggs? Let you decide that. Hargrave Gas says my recipe is another Indian palak gosht. I will try and post it, but might be too many words. Do it in 2 blocks if need be, in 2 comments. That is fine because I don't mind it. Of course, don't forget anybody who is watching or anybody who has these recipes, please do post them in the Facebook group after the show as well. Um, People can look it up and see about sharing them too. I've always said, even with your videos, if you want to post if you've got a YouTube channel, you want to post your videos in the Facebook group, I'm more than happy with that as well, especially if as long as they're related to what we do. That is, cooking videos always go down well. I know it's not easy to film ourselves when cooking, but it does work quite nicely. If you can set it up, great stuff. Now, we do have one more video. This is a rhubarb chutney from Digwell as well. Another thing I've made in the past that is absolutely delicious.
Here we go with another I made it up as I go along recipe, rhubarb chutney. Kilogram of rhubarb, 3 leeks, cinnamon stick, 3 onions, I use red onions, 400 grams of sugar, and half a tablespoon each of cloves, mustard seeds and curry powder, and 500 ml of apple cider vinegar. In with all the bits that don't need chopping. Cinnamon stick, mustard seeds, curry powder, cloves, sugar and apple cider vinegar. 500 ml of apple cider vinegar. Could have used a bit more and let it boil longer, but I didn't. Then chop the veggies. You could use white onions. I use red onions because these were my own. The last few actually. Red Baron, I think they were. Bite-sized pieces in the pan. Same with the leeks. These were leek cairngorm from the allotment. And last but not least, the rhubarb. Sadly, not all the rhubarb was mine, just the weedy little stalks. This is why I like chutneys. You could just throw anything in and try it. This turned out quite nice, actually. Okay then, preserving pan onto the Tefal induction hob. Yes, the stainless one does work on that. Fantastic. There we are before it starts cooking, and it was simmered down for about just over an hour. So here we are, just starting to boil. Turn the heat down a bit. And here we are then, about half an hour in. You can see it's softening down nicely. And while I was cooking, I was pottering around the garden and decided to pot on this basket of fire. And I thought, look at that lovely red chilli on top. So, my first harvest of the season, the basket of fire chilli, was chopped up and put into the rhubarb chutney. Very nice. It's one of my favourite chilies, actually. Just about my limit of heat, I think. So that was about an hour cooking overall. Into sterilised jars, and the way I sterilise my jars, I put about 3 or 4 ml of water in the bottom, stick the jars in a microwave and nuke them. And I'll tell you what, if the bugs can withstand that, they deserve to eat the chutney. Got 3.5 jars out of this. Not bad, labelled up, and there we are. Very, very tasty.
Think that was very similar to the recipe I used for rhubarb chutney as well. Absolutely delicious, I've got to say. Rhubarb is surprising just how versatile it is, rather than just using it in rhubarb crumble like we often use it in. But one thing I personally do when it comes to making any chutneys, I don't have an induction hob like Digwell does in that video, but I use my slow cooker. Now, it does take a lot longer using a slow cooker. So if I do my apple chutney, that could take a good 8 hours. But what I find with that is because it's just sort of gently cooking, I can leave it all day pretty much to cook my chutneys, and I just have to keep an eye on it, give it a quick stir. But it is a very mellow taste when it's cooked. It's definitely sort of cooks those flavours for a lot longer. Just my way of doing chutneys. Of course, everybody has their own ways, but for me, the slow cooker has worked out great. Now, we asked Hargrave to share his Palak Goch recipe. I probably pronounced that completely wrong. Add oil in a pan and heat it up until hot. Then add 2 chopped onions and cook on a medium heat for 4 to 5 minutes until softened. Add cumin seeds and 4 finely chopped garlic cloves and chilies. Then then cook for another 3 minutes. Add a tin of chopped tomatoes and cook for another 3 minutes. Add the 500 grams of lamb and give everything a stir before covering and cook for 15 minutes, stirring regularly. Add salt, chili powder, turmeric powder, coriander powder, then cook for the spices for another 4 to 5 minutes. As the spices are cooking, finely chopped 500 grams of spinach, then add to the pan and cover and cook for 5 minutes. Serve with rice, chapati, or naan bread. Tastes great. Absolutely, absolutely. Digwell says, never tried a slow cooker chutney. On the list, lol. Give it a try. Give it a try. You'd be surprised the difference it does make, given that sort of longer, slower cook. Just gets it nice and mellow. Turbo Stream says he loves a bit of chutney slab with a strong cheese, pickled onions, and beetroot. Not keen on the chili though. Love chili. Love chili. Kate says that sounds amazing. To Hargrave as well. Absolutely. These are great recipes coming in. Now, Jenny has just said, just dropped a thumbs up, a great live today. And that's a good reminder for me to say, please do give us a video a like, a thumbs up, a follow, a subscribe, and click the notifications so that you know when we go live. I know I say that every time, and I probably will say it again, but if I don't say it, Facebook and YouTube both tell me off for not saying it. So please do give us a like and a follow and all that. Turbo Stream says, I used a slow cooker to make chutney a few years ago. Chuck it all in and come back after a few hours. It is like that with chutneys, isn't it? Chuck it all in and come back after a few hours. And the slow cooker, so easier, I find. I do find you have to leave the lid off to let it, or get it up to temperature, then take the lid off with making chutneys on a slow cooker to let the moisture escape. Otherwise, it doesn't really cook down if the lid is on, which makes sense. Anybody who knows anything about cooking will tell you it makes a lot of sense. These are great recipe ideas tonight. Please do keep your ideas coming in, your spinach recipe ideas, your rhubarb recipe ideas. We are halfway through the show tonight. It's gone so quick already. This is great. I think it just goes to show that we often talk about growing our food, but I think we need to do more about talking about cooking our food that we are growing. I've started doing it in the podcast a bit more, where at the end of each podcast I'm adding a recipe in, which I love it because it does always get the juices flowing. It gets the creativity. I mean, I love cooking. I love growing our own food. So the two just seem to go together well. Like, subscribe, and share, and we will see you on the next one, says Turbo Stream. Yeah, don't forget to share. Please do tell as many people as well about this show. The more people we have. I had a phrase that came up, is that what we're trying to do is foster a community of people who grow their food and share their tips and share their experiences, so we're all learning with each other. That's what this show is all about, sharing our tips and experiences and fostering a community to help each other out. Which tallies it up with these comments, these spinach, these rhubarb recipe ideas that are coming in. Now, I did, so I was saying on the podcast, I've been doing the recipe ideas, and going back to the spinach recipe, I had a spinach, creamed spinach that I've made before. It's basically spinach and cream cooked together. As easy as that, bit of nutmeg to add a bit of flavour, but it's a nice little side dish. But we've also been adding a bit of pasta to it as well as another option. Really nice, nice and easy, and tastes absolutely delicious. Since Hargrave typed in a long recipe, I will put in my mum rhubarb's orange cream pie. Please do. That sounds absolutely delicious. Rhubarb orange cream pie. I've got a feeling that's one Amanda's going to absolutely love as well. She's going to have to watch this video, this live stream afterwards to get all these recipe ideas so she knows what I want to be eating for the next week. Said she's making my sandwiches lately, so she needs it. She needs it. Um, Scott says orange cream pie, yes please. So we're waiting for that recipe. Thomas Stream says I made a small wicking bed from an ice cream container today for mixed leaf planter for cut and come again southern leaves. Turbo Stream, please make a video and show us the progress of this. For me, wicking beds are the way forward, in my opinion. They are doing so well, especially things like celery and stuff like that. Just doing really, really well. So please do share your experiences with those. So basically, the veggie pod where we're getting a lot of our spinach is a wicking bed, anyways. Everybody knows, but we've got the seed starting. That's a wicking bed. There's so many out there at the moment, and it's all going really, really well. Now, I'd better just fill you in with what I have been up to. Now, this week, I've been going down the allotment every night and just tackling the weeding. Starting in one bed, weeding it, moving to the next bed, weeding it, and so on. And every time I go to the allotment, I start at the same bed. And I've been working my way through it. I've worked out there's 14 beds on the allotment. 9 of them are pretty much completely weeded. It only now takes me a matter of about a few minutes to do those 9 beds. So we've got to get the other 5 beds. Is it 5? Yeah, 6 beds, sorry. So that's 15 beds. We've got to get those to be in that same state. Then the allotment is not going to take any time to look after, which is great. Nicola says, on a side note, Lidl's had their patio trees for sale this week. Brought cherry, 3 types, apples, pears. So looking forward to more fruit in years to come. 24 trees to add to my 25 I already have. I did see that in Lidl's, actually. They were £10 a tree or something, weren't they? And I was very, very tempted. Hopefully, come payday, they will still be there because I've been getting quite a few more of these patio trees in my garden. I've got a pear, apple, plum. Just want more of them. They are great. They are great. Now, Idaho has started rhubarb orange cream pie. 3 eggs separated. Beat the whites until stiff. 1/4 cup of sugar separated. Add a quarter cup of the sugar, beaten well. More to come on that. Turbo Stream says, I'm experimenting with growing my salad leaves on my windowsills outside on a north-facing wall that gets little sunshine. They'll probably do pretty well. Salad leaves are pretty tolerant of a lot of conditions. Digwell says, Tesco's have fruit trees too, £12 each. That's cheap, isn't it, at the moment? Are they the patio ones? I think... Mine came from, I think it was the range. I can't remember how much they were now. Probably around that same sort of price, but they're building them up. We really are going all in our fruit growing here at home this year. The front garden, currants, raspberries, blueberries, it's all coming together really, really nicely and just making the things so much better growing fruit in the front garden. Just feels like the front garden is productive. And the front garden is a driveway, in case you're not aware. Idaho says, add 1/4 cup soft butter, 3 tablespoons of frozen orange juice, concentrate to the eggs combination and beat thoroughly. Add 1/4 cup of flour, 1/4 teaspoon of salt to the yolks with remaining 1/4 cup of sugar and beat well. There we go. There we go. Jenny says, how long is it taken for your shark's fin to germinate? Mine are taking forever. I think they have germinated this week, actually. They did take a couple of weeks to germinate. I think. I'm trying to think because they're on the kitchen windowsill, and I think they are the ones that have germinated. I I think about 2 weeks, but I could be wrong on that. I'll have to double check. Nicholas says Lidl were $9.99, sold out in some shapes. Had to go to 3 shops to get mine. Yeah, don't blame you. Don't blame you at all. Digwell says I bought an apple L-Star from Tesco. Grows to 3 meters high. Now I've got you know sort of January, February when Tesco start to sell, and a few other supermarkets for that. They sell the trees, the bare rooted trees. That they're pretty cheap. I bought one year. It said it was a pear. No, it said it was an apple. Sorry, but it turned out to be pear. Now I'm always very careful with the labels. I always copy exactly what the label is. So I know it must have been incorrectly labelled, and it came from Tesco's. So I'm always very dubious now if it is going to be what they say it is when it comes from two Tesco's. It might be a bit better, and that might be the one-off, but that's my experience with them. Stuart Jackson says, some great recipes tonight. Just show that you don't need ready-made meals, puddings. Thanks, everyone. I've always said that. If you can make your own ready meals, we can make all like rhubarb crumble and put it into a ready meal type container, take it out, put it in the freezer, take it out of the freezer, microwave it, and there you go. Excuse me, sorry. There you go. It's ready to go. It's a ready meal, but it's a well-made ready meal. Idaho says 2.5 cups of rhubarb cut in 1/2 inches, fold in the meringue, pot in 9-inch pastry shells, sprinkle on top, 1/3 of chopped pecans, and bake for 15 minutes at 375 F. Then reduce down to 325 F for 45 to 50 minutes. Lovely, lovely. Stuff. Digwell is claiming he was the one that swapped the fruit tree labels around. I bet you was. It wouldn't surprise me. But it was annoying because they were so different that he couldn't get it. Jealous of your tan, Richard? Is that just from pottering in the garden or the plot? No. I don't sunbathe. I'll make that very, very clear. One, you got to remember I've got good lighting in here. I've got video lighting, which is just there to make me look good anyway. But I've got one of these skins that the sun comes out, I just instantly go brown. I mean, you can see the white bits on my arms there. But no, I've got a skin that just goes brown when the sun comes out. So yes, I don't lay in the sun, but I do spend most of the day driving around. I'm outside a lot during the day and in the garden and pottering. So there is a bit like that. That was from Amanda, by the way. Digwell says that recipe from Idaho sounds lush. Recipes were a lot more complicated back in the 1950s. LOL. Indeed, my wife made this weird one once that was from the Depression era, and it was called water pie. Weirdly nice, but very, very interesting. Idaho, that sounds amazing. And Stuart says, I think this live has saved me loads of money. All I need now is to be allowed in the kitchen. LOL. Stuart, get your wife to chime in with her own recipes as well. I'm sure we can come up with some good ones. I'm sure they are there. Stuart says, I think all gardeners have a free suntan. Just remember cream, everyone. Yeah, don't forget the sun cream. The hats. I mean, I'm useless at wearing hats, but sun creams, the hats. No good getting heat stroke. If it's too hot, don't bother. Don't bother. As bad as it sounds, it's not worth it. What else have we got? You can always recognize van drivers. Their right arm is more tan than their left. No, we've got air conditioning in the vans these days, so we don't have that. We don't have the window open with one arm out. Air conditioning in our vans these days means that we don't get it. We don't get it. We're just the same color regardless. That's what I say anyway. That's what I say. So yeah, keep those recipe ideas coming in. Let's have a quick look at the photos that you guys have sent in this week, because that is always good, and that should be on that one. So, what have we got? First of all, this is the chilies. Their new shed is standing proud. Looks absolutely wonderful. I believe this was a second hand shed that they've rescued and built and patched up, and looks fantastic. There's more videos in the group, so please do go and check it out. Nikki has been asking what is wrong with her radish, because she seems to be getting radish that are all leaf but very little root. And as you can see in the photo of these two radishes, the lower one is a nice bulbous radish that you would expect, whereas the top one is very long and thin. I've shared a few thoughts on what it could be. What do you guys think? Go help her out. Again, this is in the group. All these photos came from the group this week. I've chosen one from each person just to get people to go in the group and join in the chat. Now, Nicola has a pot of artichokes. These are Jerusalem artichokes, which she's added some flowers around the edges as well to add a bit of colour. Jerusalem artichokes are absolutely delicious, but I've made the hard decision to get rid of mine this year. May go back to them in the future, but we're getting rid of them for the time being. Scott has been sharing a lot of rhubarb recipes again on the Facebook group. One of these being the roasted pork with rhubarb. Again, I can say absolutely delicious. And looking at the pictures that he shared, you can tell he's a chef, because the food looks like you want to eat it. Fantastic. Jenny's peas are looking great. A lot better than my peas, it has to be said. I'm having a lot of trouble with peas. My peas just don't seem to be germinating. I've tried different packets and different areas, just nothing. The peas don't seem to germinate very well at all this year. I'm not sure what is going on. Kate's lettuce, they're also looking absolutely fantastic. Nice mix of the red and green lettuce, so all looking great. The beautiful colours, aren't they, on the lettuces, I think. Stuart has found another bargain. This recycled UPVC bed for £5. Absolute bargain. We all know he likes to find a bargain, and this is one. Now, finally, Ian has shared a funny, as I've called it, Hosta on Visa Baby, with Arnold Schwarzenegger saying that. Fantastic. I do like Ian's humours. He posts some funny ones quite often. Please do go check him out in the group. Now, talking of that, please do keep posting your photos as well. You can email them to me, richard@adventurehourpodcast.co.uk. You can post them in our Facebook group, or you can send to me via social media. Let's see what is saying. Idaho saying, yes, I'm getting the suntan. My tan starts at my ankles. My feet are untanned. Kind of funny looking. Yeah, we're all getting it. The sun is out. Scott, chilled rhubarb soup. That sounds interesting. 500 grams of rhubarb, 1 litre of water, 1 tablespoon of vanilla extract, 130 grams of sugar. Cook until tender. Blend, pass through a fine sieve, and chill. Super cold. Served with plain panna cotta. It's lovely. That sounds nice. We'll give that a try. I think if you head to the website, actually, I've got a recipe for rhubarb sorbet, if I remember correctly. Rhubarb sorbet and rhubarb ice cream we've made before as well. That's good. That's very good. Digwell says, aircon, how non-environmentally friendly? Well, yeah. It runs on the modern gas, which is hydrocarbons, which is environmentally friendly. Nicola says, I often get heat stroke from forgetting. Started wearing sun hat with a pillow slip underneath to act like a French Foreign Legion to protect my neck. Good. No, you may joke about it, but I think it is a good thing to do. Again, I don't wear hats. I'm useless. I get too hot in hats. I should wear hats. And this is my old, I can't think we called them, the flat cap. I can't wear hats, but I should. Stuart says, when the sun is too hot for gardening, just take a few minutes to yourself, as we all need to look after yourself. So remember not to push yourself. Jobs can be done tomorrow. Absolutely right. I mean, on this subject, all I always say is I like to do my gardening in the morning and the evening when it's a little bit cooler. Same with walking the dog. We're walking, if it's too hot, we'll walk in the morning and in the evening. The rest of the day, we can sit around doing nothing. It doesn't matter. Turbo Extreme says, my radishes usually turn out like Nicky's. It's either you're harvesting them too early, not watering them enough, or not thinning them. Two things I think are the main cause. Stuart Jackson says, is your peas a bad compost? I've tried in different composts. That makes no difference. I've even done some in the greenhouse to start them off, but just having trouble with them. Scott says, my peas are doing well, but I'm having bad germination with beans. Last year, the other way round. For me, the peas are the bad germination. So, yeah. Oh, yummy. I'm getting very hungry, says Idaho. Yeah, well, yeah. I'm glad I had jerk chicken before I started this. I'm glad I ate that before this, but I'm getting hungry again as well. Nicholas says, I got some discount boxes from B&Q reduced. They had rhubarb, asparagus, and 2 packets of seeds, yellow and green courgettes for $1.75. Let us know how well they get on. I've been, you may remember, a while back, I planted these asparagus. I think I did it on this show, didn't I? They would cost me 50p because they were reduced. They've done nothing. So I think that's wasted, in all honesty. What else have we got? I got flip-flop tan stripy feet. Yeah. Again, I can't wear flip-flops at the best of times, so definitely not while gardening. Idaho's taken a screenshot of Scott's recipe, indeed. And right, rhubarb jelly. Oh, lovely. Soften 2 pounds of rhubarb with a 1/4 pint of water. Strain through a jelly bag, don't squeeze. Add seeds of a vanilla pod, 1 pound of pectin sugar per pint of water. Bring to a rolling boil, test for set and bottle up. Delicious. That sounds really nice, actually. That might do for what I was talking about earlier for like a apple jelly, but a rhubarb jelly instead. Yeah. Digwell says maybe modern gas, but still use 10% of the engine power to run petrol diesel usage. I might have an electric fan for all you know. For all you know, I don't. Don't. It's diesel. Factor 50 today. I'm a bit of a vampire. Garden before or after the heat of the sun. When it's hot, I hide away inside and watch YouTube on all the seeds I don't need. I do think when it is hot, it is important to, it was a bit warm today, it has to be said, during the afternoon, but I was still out there, but I could cope with it. But if it was any hotter, I would have had to stop it and just go in. Digwell says, guess whose aircon is broke? I'm guessing yours. You've had a lot of problems with your car lately, haven't you? Scott says, a good tip with sorbets and ice creams, make them more sweeter than you would think. Being frozen dulls the flavour, so overdo it to get the right balance. In the end, will result good. We'll check the sorbet recipe out. One of my favourite summer treats. Yeah, it's on the website. Search for rhubarb sorbet. I've got to make some this year as well as rhubarb ice cream. So perhaps that's something we're going to have to do. I'll have to remind the wife that. Stuart Jackson says, is anyone else having problems with their tomatoes? Mine's are grown very slowly. I have about 10 different types, all the same, very slow. It has been a bit cold for this late in the year. So don't worry. I reckon they will catch up. They're just a little bit cold weather-wise. It's been a cold spring, as we've alluded to earlier. Okay, don't rub it in about his aircon. My aircon blows lovely cold air. So does mine, both of mine. Anne Costalis, hello all. Just moved back to the woods and my garden this week. Long winters in Canada. My rhubarb, garlic, and Jerusalem artichokes are back. You guys are months ahead of me, but hoping to catch up. I reckon you will catch up pretty soon. Lovely to see you. Yeah. we're discussing rhubarb and spinach recipes. Seeds you don't need. We must be related. Absolutely. My mum used to make rhubarb and ginger jam. Yummy. That's a good one. That's a lovely one. Can you share the recipe as well? I've made rhubarb jam once, and that did go down nice. Kate says, actually, my tomatoes are behind on last year. I think everyone's tomatoes are behind, I'll be honest with you. Even my ones in the greenhouse are not as big as I would expect, but I think they will catch up. The rhubarb, Nicola discount rhubarb, already got leaves, so that's doing well. And Stuart says, my aircon is open. The window, the lower, the cooler it gets. Yeah, well, opening a window can sometimes use more petrol or diesel than aircon, believe it or not. It all depends on the aerodynamics of your car. This is a completely separate topic, isn't it? But because Digwell's aircon isn't working very well, we'll just keep bringing it up every now and then. Anyway, I do have a grow along video for you guys as well. Let's have a look at this. This time it's French beans, but I want you guys to think of what seeds I should sow for next week as well. Right, guys, well, we are back along once again for another grow along. Last week we did the runner beans, which are up and growing really nicely. So this week what I thought I'm going to do is, along the same line, I'm growing some dwarf French beans, or otherwise known as pole beans, green beans, great number of different names. Now this is a variety called Burgold, which is a dwarf yellow variety. So it should hopefully provide us with some decent yellow beans. And this is what these seeds look like. It's what we get growing inside them. Now, once again, I'm using my root trainers. I would say it is probably about the time of year when we can start to plant these outside. The weather is more or less there. But I still feel there's many hungry vermin that might like these instead. So I'm sticking with these little root trainers. And I'm going to pot them in here, let them grow on. I reckon in about 2 weeks' time they were germinated and we can plant them outside, which goes straight into the ground. Now these ones being dwarf varieties, they're not going to need any support, which makes it a bit easier, but because they are dwarf, they don't grow very, very tall. They don't exactly grow a huge amount of beans. They grow enough, especially if you've got quite a few of them. And the great thing is you can pack these in quite nicely. So they would actually go quite well in something like the veggie pod or in our balcony garden, which you may see at some point. But they are just great for small spaces, and they provide us with plenty of food. Now once they are growing, there's, again, like I said last week, there's not much care needed providing the ground has been well prepared. And by that I mean plenty of organic matter, plenty of compost added before planting out. Making sure the area is weed free and kept weed free. Easier said than done, I know, but that is the advice. And we keep on top and we keep them well watered. Now beans do need a fair amount of water. I wouldn't say they need to be flooded or daily watering. They need a fair amount of water, and but they do create quite deep roots to really find lots of water. In terms of feeding, again, a bit of grow more every now and then goes a long way in helping them grow. So that is our last bean seeds just going into the pan right now. Let me know in the comments, as always, how you get on with many of your other seeds that we've been sowing. And if you've got any tips on how to grow French beans, let us know in the comments as well. As I said, runner beans are starting to go outside. Charles and Camilla have moved outside as well. They are growing really well and soon will be pulled into place. So lots and lots is going on here at the Veg Grower Podcast. Right guys, until next time, take care. Indeed, that is our French beans. These are dwarf French beans. So let your French bean tips start flowing. And let me know what seeds I should sow for next week's Grow Along. Any ideas at all? Because I've drawn I mean, I've got lots of seeds I need to sow, but lots of ideas is welcome. Bigwell says the only thing you need to do with dwarf French beans is harvest, harvest, harvest. Even if you don't want the beans, as soon as they sense the seeds beans are maturing, then they stop producing. Absolutely. Scott says might have to change my plan for French beans and change to dwarf French beans. Will suit the space I have. So, I mean, I've only done dwarf French beans as part of the supporters club. What if you've got space to go up, then stick with your normal beans. Dwarf French beans are generally smaller, but you do need to pick them as Digwell says, pick them to make sure they or keep producing. Stuart, like that little video, then it will go up on YouTube and Facebook and in later on this week. Trying to up the videos at the moment, trying to produce more. Anne says, was at Westdean Gardens today. It used to be my favourite vegetable garden. I used to love the Chili Fest at Westdean Gardens. Haven't been there for a while. Last time I was there, I was a bit disappointed, but that was COVID. So got to get back there soon. Anyway, they now have bantams in the veg garden. They were happily pecking away at the rhubarb leaves, which surprised us. Doesn't surprise me. My chickens peck at my rhubarb leaves as well. But I know why you want me concerned, the poison that's in the leaves. I won't get into that, but that's a whole other thing. Turbo Stream says, I sowed the French beans too this weekend from the supporters club. This is second sowing I've made of these, believe it or not. But I'm just trying to use up the seeds. Stuart Jackson says, how late can I sow French beans? Thanks. You could sow them June, maybe even July if you're lucky, but certainly into June you can sow French beans. If they're the dwarf ones, then you probably get away with it, or if they're fast ones as well. June, I reckon, is during the month of June, so plenty of time to sow French beans. Same as runner beans. We did the runner beans last week, which are doing pretty good. Sweet corn's doing great. I've got to get the sweet corn in the garden, in the beds actually. It's going to be something to do this week. Lots going on here. Lots going on here indeed. As I said, share with me your ideas of seeds to sow next week. I am thinking I might do something if you guys can't think of anything. Jenny says, beans sowing next week, runners, dwarf and climbing. It's about the right time to start sowing them. I'm hoping to get a lot of them planted out in the next week as well, especially here at home. That way, and my squash, the courgettes, the courgettes, the pumpkins, the cucumbers, I want to get those in the ground pretty quick as well. Toby Stream says, I always grow purple dwarf French beans, although this year they are slow to come up. Everything's slow this year. Don't be afraid. Everything is slow and behind. It's just been so cold. It's been so cold. We're just finally getting there to warm up. Hargrave Gas says, my chickens love pecking my rhubarb leaf. I assume birds don't get affected by the poison, as pigeons have had a go at them as well. So I read, now don't take this as gospel because I don't want to spread misinformation, but I read that the supposed chemical that is found in rhubarb leaves is found in the entire rhubarb. It's just that the rhubarb leaves aren't very palatable, in all honesty. So if we're eating the rhubarb stalks anyway and it's not giving us any harm, then it's probably going to be no problem with the leaves. Another report also said that to get enough poison out of the leaves, you would have to eat so much of it that your stomach would burst. But again, I don't know if that is the gospel truth. Please don't try it based on what I've just said. It's what I've read. Just don't want to get anybody getting ill because of what I've said. Thank you. I'm thinking about after the broad beans, so herbs and lettuces, Stuart Jackson. Yeah, I mean, once the new potatoes come out as well, I'm looking at things to go into the new potato bed, the first early potatoes as well. So I'm coming along with all those sort of things. Although Jenny's sorry, I'll come back to that as well. Jenny says winter brassicas sowing next week as well. Yeah, winter brassicas. That's given me an idea actually. We could do some cabbages next week for Christmas. Yeah. Turbo Stream says, I sowed a bucket of carrots today. Amongst all the other seeds, you could sow a few carrots in a tub. Yeah, could do. I did do carrots a while ago, which never germinated, if I remember correctly, on a grow along. But we'll see. Digrat says, rhubarb leaves are considered inedible due to the high concentration of oxalic acid. In fact, both the stalks and leaves contain oxalic acids, but the leaves have a much higher content. I've read that that they may have the same level of that content in the leaves and the stalks, but as I say, I'm no scientist. I don't look into the levels. Take what you will with that, but yeah. Scott also says rhubarb and the leaves contain oxalic acid. Leaves have a much higher content, and not at a safe level. It's in a lot of other stuff like sorrel. If you was just to eat rhubarb stalks for weeks on end, it would cause you problems like kidney stones. There we go. There we go. Yeah, both of them saying the same thing there. I say broccoli too, says Turbo Stream. Good one. Oxalic acid can cause liver damage in hens. Of course it can. Of course it can. But the same as anything, isn't it? You eat too much of anything, it's going to cause problems. That's why it's all about having a good varied diet and eating your 5 a day, including your greens. That has been your weekly health report from the Veg Grower podcast. Stuart Jackson says, we have lots of leaves that are poisonous. If you look at the RHS website, we have to use at school. If I used their list, I would not grow anything at school. I use common sense. It's a very difficult one to answer. What's that? If you have a hosepipe ban, as we still have in Cornwall, if you grow fruit and veg alongside flowers, you can still use a hosepipe as food. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, sooner people were saving their water in water butts, of course. Although saying that, some of my water butts are getting empty, believe it or not. Haven't had rain for a while. They're starting to get to that point. Spinach has high oxalic acid levels as well. Well, we're talking about spinach, so there we go. The amount of spinach that I'm eating at the moment, and rhubarb for that matter. Turbo Stream, I've been watching a YouTube channel called Ivan's Garden. He's grown in containers this year, so he has sort of inspired me a bit. I think it's great to grow in containers. You know, we've got so much of it going on. I might try and get a video out this week for the balcony garden, which shows you everything going on in there. So a lot of container growing in there, going on in that. So, and hanging baskets, of course, hanging baskets. You probably haven't noticed that few things behind me have changed very subtly. That's because I've been using the Horty wool, the wool hanging in the hanging baskets. Amazing stuff, absolutely amazing stuff. Nicholas says I have 7 IBC tanks, so loads of water plus 220 litre water butts. Indeed. Indeed, I think it's great to be saving as much water as we possibly can. I've got 15 water butts in my garden. I very rarely will ever run out of water. It is a drag trying to water everything by hose watering can, though, but I enjoy it. Idaho says, the more I grow in containers, the better I like it. I think container gardening does have a lot of benefits. The negatives I find with growing in containers, one, price of compost, which has gone up astronomically this year. You can make your own compost, of course, but the price of compost has gone up astronomically and the quality has gone down. That's one of the problems. 2, you need to water a lot more. But I mean, saying that, my entire driveway is entirely pots which I've added mulch around, and they're doing absolutely fine. I use rhubarb leaves to catch slugs, lay them on the ground, and they shelter from the heat of the day. I was actually adding rhubarb leaves on top of my compost heap, where in over certain areas where we've got weeds growing in the compost heap, just to block them out a little bit. Will it work? We don't know. Nicholas says, can you use a Bosch battery pump with a hose pipe? You've got the Bosch battery pump. That does make life a lot easier, I've got to say. I'm looking at getting a Ryobi one at some point. My water butts are empty, but I have two new ones on the way and will need to adjust the levels so they flow from one into the other. I will also need to move the one that I have now, so grateful I've used it up. Yeah, it's surprising how quickly you do go through this water at the moment, but all we need is a few good showers and they'll be full again. Jenny says the water and not had to waste it. Fingers crossed they arrive before the next rainfall. It could happen. It could happen. Scott says, I'm ordering the Bosch water pump. Someone recommended last week. Sorry, forgot who suggested it, but that's why I love this live show. Some great tips and advice. Yeah, the Bosch water pump is pretty good, especially if you've already got the Bosch batteries. That's the only reason I'm going with Ryobi is because I have the Ryobi batteries. Excuse me. Paul says, I read that WD-40 will deter slugs. I think I've heard that as well. I've not tried it myself, but I have heard it. I'll be worried about using WD-40 around my food personally, but I have heard that as well. Scott says, yeah, Nicola, I think, oh yeah, that's right. Turbo Stream, I agree with Idaho Garden Gal, but we'll limit them to growing salads this year and a couple of buckets of carrots. Yeah, good show. I love growing in containers. I use half and half, using my own compost in the bottom half and then shop compost for the top. Seems to work okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking I'm going to sow some carrots in a container now, but I'm probably going to do it in my what do you call them, the wicket bed system, like I always do. Oh, like I'm fond of. Digrat says WD-40 deters humans too. Deters a lot of things, but it's also good for getting wheels off hubs when they are rusted on. Also good for a great number of things, especially in our house lately. I don't know if you can hear that. There's a growling. I don't think it's Roxy, the dog out there growling or something. What else have we got? No, that's it. So we got about 7 minutes to go for this show tonight. This has been a really good conversation again, guys. Please remember to keep posting those photos that you might have in the group. I'm not wrapping up the show just yet. Now, next week, I think what I wanted, and this is going off the back of what is happening with Kate Spratt and her slip disc. So, and conversations that we've been having. I can't think of how to word this, so I'm probably going to need you guys to help me word this. But what I want to do is that try and suggest ways of gardening that for those that might have health difficulties with traditional gardening. Does that make sense? Is that a polite way to phrase it? Let me know on that, because I think there's a lot we can do on that. Yeah, Digra's just asking topic next week, and Nicola's asking the same topic for next week. Limited mobility, that's it. There we go. Limited mobility, yeah. But it kind of, or more accessible gardening. There we go. So I just want a few ideas for advice that we can share. I know some of you guys do already do this anyway for the reasons that you have. Please do send videos in if you would like to as well. That always goes down well. You can, if you're not sure how to send a video, you can email me or message me and I'll help you out. But it's a topic I've wanted to do for a while, I'll be honest with you, but I've never really worked out the right way to go about it. So I'm hoping that phrasing it like that, skinny jean garden, extreme gardening, how to make your allotment more accessible for all. That's probably a polite way to do it, but not my allotment. I want it to be their allotment. Yeah, but yeah, more accessible works. Then you can add mental health limitations as well. Yeah, yeah. How to make gardening more accessible. Yeah, it's a difficult one because I never want to offend anybody. I don't think anybody wants to offend anyone, but I always want to try and phrase it the correct way. But I know some of you guys do have some good ideas. I mean, I'm a big fan of the Veggie Pod. We'll get into that next week, actually. But yeah, that's what we're going to be doing next week. Keep sending those photos in, as I said already. I haven't set any homework for the last few weeks because it's getting a bit tricky, but I've got to think or try and do about the homework idea again for everyone to do. A good topic as we get older, we struggle more. My back hurts after 20 minutes, so I stop for a brew. That's something you could share as a suggestion for next week. You know, they get that idea. Except those who should not be there. Yeah. Stuart Jackson, I know all about gardening with extra needs. I broke my lower back 20 plus years ago. I will leave the read until next week. Yeah, save it all for next week because then we can pull it together. And Kate says that's a really appreciated topic. Not a problem. Not a problem. It's kind of a topic I've wanted to do for a while and couldn't quite figure out how to do it, but it feels like right. This is right. And absolutely, Kate. Yeah. Well, I'm glad. I've always want to include everyone's, as you know. I'm filling in the time now, as you can tell by rambling on and on. But yeah, you get the idea. It's try and get those ideas, those suggestions going forward to make it more. How to make gardening more accessible for everyone it might be the way to phrase it. Oh, the question that I should ask. Does that work for you? I'll think about it during the week, but you get the idea. On how we're going to phrase this. Yeah. That's it. Absolutely. Now, I'm going to be going away and making a lot of these recipes that you guys have been sharing. Digwell says, great show again. See you all next week. So he's getting off and out of there. I'm going to be cooking up a lot of these recipes that you guys have been sharing lately over the next few weeks as well, with all the rhubarb and the spinach that we have got coming in. Perhaps we could do once a week. We'll do a bit of a cooking thing on here as well. If I get time to make videos, perhaps we could do once a week cook. I'm not sure. Ballycillian says, has everyone hit the like button? Please do hit the like button if you haven't done so already. Don't forget to follow or subscribe and click the notifications so that you know when we go live. Nicholas says, post on the Facebook page with suggestions for title for next week. People can post. Yeah, okay, yeah, I will do that. Stuart says, I think we all put on weight this week after all the recipes for this week. Indeed, we have. So I'm going to start wrapping up and get out of here. It's been a really good show. Thank you so much to Digwell for sending in those videos. Thank you so much to everybody who has shared the recipe ideas as well. They've gone down really, really well. I'm looking forward to cooking lots of these. Right, time for me to retire. Go water the garden, go lock the chickens up, and head to bed. And I've got more work to do. We will be back again next Sunday at 6 p.m. where we will do it all again. And of course, we've got the podcast and everything else coming out this week as well. You take care, guys. I'll see you again then. Until then, please take care.